If you're a Health for Life coach who wants to grow your coaching business in 2026, you need to be looking at your messaging. Today on the Wholehearted Business Show, we're going to talk about some messaging hacks that are going to help you improve how you communicate what it is that you do so you can get more clients. Let's dive in. Hi there, welcome to the Wholehearted Business Show. I'm Laura. I help heart-centered and highly sensitive health and life coaches get more clients, grow their businesses, and live the best lives while they do it. And today on the show, we're talking all about messaging hacks that you need to know about so that you can grow your coaching business in 2026. Now, this is the first of a few episodes of the show that I'm going to do, talking specifically about the key things that I think are going to make a big difference for people's growth for their coaching businesses going into next year. And the first one is messaging. And I'm really passionate about messaging at the moment because I can really see how when we get our messaging right, when we actually work on it and focus on it, the difference that is making in the current industry and the climate that we are all in right now as coaches. Like, it's really important that you get this right. So very, very excited to talk about it on today's show, but also very excited to have a very special offer that is only available for a very, very short amount of time. I'm making it very dramatic, but I've created an offer called the Magical Messaging Intensive, and this is a one-to-one offer with me. It's just a short-term option for you to work with me specifically around your messaging, because as I say, and as we're going to cover today, you need to be getting this right if you want to grow your coaching business in 2026. No matter what stage of business you're at, like, this is important and you need to be getting it right. So the Magical Messaging Intensive is working with me one-to-one. You will get a workbook to complete before we actually meet for a 90-minute call. I will also review your website, your socials, anywhere else that you have, whether you have a website ready or not, but anything else that you have where you are outwardly talking about your business, I will review that for you, and you will also get 2 weeks worth of Voxer voice note support. You can buy now and book in January if you want as well, if you want a bit more time. So this is all about helping you really nail your messaging in a really profound, wonderful way, because this is one of my superpowers right now, is supporting people around this. And it's so important. Like, the difference that it makes in your business is humongous. It is massive. So do go and check that out. I really have a very, very small number of slots for this because it is quite intensive. It's one-to-one. Please go and check it out. The price is amazing. Go and check that out. Find out more about it. Book your slot. It's only going to be available for a week. So if you're watching this after November 2025, it might have gone. Well, it will have gone probably, because I don't think I'm going to offer these again. So please do go and check that out. It is going to be an amazing thing to work on. And like I say, it's one of my favourite topics. So why is messaging going to be so important going into 2026? Many, many, many reasons, but primarily, the coaching industry, as we all know, has exploded. It's massive. There are loads and loads and loads of coaches out there, all wanting to support people, all wanting to, grow their businesses, do all the things that you want to do too. And one of the key ways that we can stand out is with really, really great messaging. So that's the first thing. We need to be able to stand out in this noisy place, and messaging is really going to help. No matter how you're marketing your business, no matter what spaces you're showing up in, your messaging is going to make everything better. We've also got the explosion of AI generated content, and that has its place, and it's it can be wonderful, but one of the ways again that we can stand out in amongst that noise is by really having a fantastically honed message. It is going to make us stand out, because what people are doing who are not investing the time into this, who are not thinking about it in a profound way, is that they are using AI tools and they're not using them well. But that's a really great opportunity for us to be able to stand out with messaging that actually sounds great and that isn't written in a way that sounds like AI. And honestly, some of the stuff now that I'm seeing that's been written by AI, like, you can spot it a mile off. So I think that is going to be so much more important as well if you want to stand out. And ultimately, it's about remembering that your message is what makes people feel something. It is the ultimate driver of people wanting to connect with you. It's the whole know, like, and trust thing. It's such a foundational part of your business. You have to get it right, because it is going to generate everything else. It's going to drive everything else. It's going to drive the way that your potential clients connect with you. It's going to help you create content. It's going to help you decide where to show up in your market and how to show up. Like, it is such a core piece of the puzzle. Like, you can't afford not to get it right. So it is really, really important. So, and again, going into 2026 with AI, with, so many more coaches on the scene, with people losing trust in some ways, not having as much trust for people as they used to, a more competitive industry, like messaging is really, really important to help you have an edge. So when we're talking about messaging, what are we actually talking about? Because messaging is slightly different to niche. It's slightly different to your brand. It's a very key, specific thing that we're working on. And ultimately, it's kind of like how we connect the bigger vision for our business, who we are, what it is that we do, who we're here to serve, why we're here to serve them, what makes us different, why people should work with us, the journey that we're going to take them on, all of these different themes and how we put them into our visibility. So it's that connective piece between all the things that we know about ourselves and our business, and sometimes we might not know them yet and we need to work with someone to help bring them out, and then how we actually take that and put it out there in our visibility. So it's that connective piece, and it's really about helping us communicate, again, what makes us different, why someone should work with us and not someone else, the specific journey that we're taking people on, the problems that we're solving, like all of this stuff. It is quite a lot of different things that we want to really pick up on. But ultimately, there's certain questions that we need to be asking ourselves and answering in our messaging and then communicating. A lot amongst all these other things, there's key questions that I have that I work with my clients that are going to really help create clarity, connection, and resonance. And that's really what messaging is. It's how do we create clarity, connection, and resonance for people so that they actually get to know what we're about, that can connect with us, like all of those good things that are ultimately going to be the foundations of why people decide to work with us as clients. So we need to be getting this right, obviously, as I've said many times before. So we need to be working on this to get it right so that we can communicate this well in all of the things that we put out there externally in our business. So how do you know if your messaging is not quite hitting the mark right now? First of all, you will struggle to create content. That is one of the first things, is that if you are struggling to think of ideas of what to create for your content, like topics to talk about, things to say in the content, like anything like that, if it feels like everything's a bit all over the place, if it feels like things are disconnected, that's a really, really key sign that you need to work on your messaging. If you are also not getting clients, if you're struggling to get clients, if you're struggling to get responses from people, if you feel like you're just kind of shouting into the void a little bit, if it all feels a little bit one-sided, if ultimately, if you're not getting sales and you're not getting clients, there's probably a messaging piece that is better. Another part of this is if you are attracting clients but they're not quite the right fit, or that you get to work with them and you're like, this is not quite right, or I don't feel I can help them very well, or the expectations were wrong, often that's a messaging red flag as well, if you like, that could be worked on too. If you are feeling a little bit disconnected in your business and if you're feeling a little bit lost, sometimes that can be a messaging thing as well, because when you do have good messaging, part of that is really knowing like your big why and why you're here and what you're here to do and how you can help people. So that's a big indicator as well of something that can be tweaked with your messaging if that's how you are feeling right now too. And if you are finding that you are turning to use AI tools but feel like the results that you're getting from AI tools aren't very good or aren't very reflective of what it is that you actually want them to see or what you want to create, then that can be another reason why your messaging might be off, because if you don't have that clarity to feed into those tools, you're ultimately going to just get more lack of clarity out of them. So all of these things can be real like red flags, if you like, that your messaging needs a little bit of work. And what are some of the benefits of really clear messaging? Obviously, we've talked about some of the reasons that we want to have good messaging, but just to be really clear, like when your messaging is clear, consistent, it's that connection, it's that resonance. When that is happening, you're going to find that you're going to get clients more easily because they're going to connect with you. They're going to get what you're about. There's going to be that synergy in terms of like, right, I can totally get where this coach is coming from. It's going to just click. And I think this is the thing. It's going to just click in for you when you know that your messaging's right. You're obviously also going to find content creation so much easier because everything's going to flow from this space of knowing what your messaging is. You're also going to find sales easier. Now, we're going to talk about sales next week, but you're also going to find selling your services easier because you've got no doubt about what it is that you are doing for people, the results that you're going to get for people. You're going to be really clear yourself, and that's going to help you sell with more confidence too. So we've talked about what messaging is, why it's important, how to identify if your messaging needs work, the positive results that you're going to get when you have got good messaging. We've talked about my magical messaging intensive offer that you can come and buy right now and work with me one-to-one around your messaging. But what are some little hacks that you can take right now to start and think about how you can improve your messaging? The first thing is, do not be afraid to repeat yourself. I think some people are really frightened to be repetitive when it comes to your content and the things that you're saying out there in the online business space. Don't be frightened to repeat yourself. When you repeat strong messaging, I mean, this is the key thing, you want to know that your message is strong before you start repeating it, or else you're repeating the wrong thing. But don't be afraid to repeat it. The reason for that is, not everyone who is interacting with your business is going to be interacting with every single element of your business, every single version of visibility that you have. So when you do repeat yourself, it's making sure that you are just drilling in that messaging in lots of different places. Also, for people who are seeing a lot of your stuff, it is just reinforcing what you're about. So do not be afraid to repeat yourself often. Obviously, you can change up the language a little bit if you want, but don't be afraid to feel like to you that you're repeating yourself. If you feel like you're repeating yourself a little bit, that's probably not a bad sign, because to people out there, it's probably showing up more like consistency than repetition. So think about that part of your message and how you can do that, how you can repeat yourself a little bit. And that is a really great indicator that you are showing up and sharing that consistently. The next messaging hack is to tell stories. So again, this is a wonderful thing that we will look at in the intensive, but what stories do you have around your work? Like what case studies, what kind of little tales can you tell that help people understand you and your work better? If you can identify like one kind of story about what it is that you're about, and you can take this from your own personal experience, your own transformation, your own story, but find a story that you can tell. Tell stories. Be a storyteller when it comes to your messaging. Don't be afraid to tell stories, because, stories pull people in. Again, 101 for storytelling, start, middle, end. Really, really simple. Like, you don't have to overthink it. Just take people on that little journey, and it can really help people understand things in a more profound way. When we use storytelling, it's partly about bringing something that an idea or a concept to life. We're making something more tangible. I mean, that's a massive part of messaging, especially for coaches, is how we can actually make things more tangible for people and better understood. So don't be afraid to use storytelling when it comes to your messaging in your coaching business. And then the next thing that you can do around a messaging hack is to add a descriptor to the way that you describe your ideal clients. So often what people will say is, I work with busy mums, or I work with like stressed women in the 40s, or stressed men, or whatever. People have the different descriptions of them, but add an extra descriptor in there. So again, I mean, the best example of this that I can give is my business. I was working with health and life coaches, and that was fine and that was great. But when I started talking about working with highly sensitive and heart-centered health and life coaches, that just adds another layer on top of the people that I want to work with. Now, again, like how much you talk about the actual people that you work with in your niche, and we're getting a bit more into niche here, depends on obviously like what your niche actually is. But obviously my niche, rather than, I work with health and life coaches just around marketing. I work with health and life coaches around fucking everything, basically. But the key thing that helps target that a little bit more is the fact that I work with highly sensitive and heart-centered health and life coaches, and that really has shifted a lot of things in my business, because when I started using that language and using that descriptor, which was really just describing the people that I was attracting anyway, it just helped to call in the right people. And that's what we want to do. Our messaging is about calling in the right people. So can you add an extra descriptive term? And I think a positive descriptor is a good one. So I work with corporate men, for example. You could add a descriptor like adventurous corporate men, and maybe what you've noticed is that the men that you tend to attract into your business, actually they're all quite adventurous. They want to be off, on hiking weekends, they want to be, going sailing or whatever, and there's an adventurousness about them, and that's actually a lovely way to call in people who have that spirit in them. So think about a way for calling in your people with just an extra descriptor. And again, it's not going to translate for every single person's business, but if it does for you, it can make a huge difference, because when we add that in, it just kind of calls into something. It's that identity piece as well. It's like thinking about how people identify themselves. And I like a positive one. I mean, again, I think heart-centered and highly sensitive, we do see that as a positive thing in this space. So think about a positive descriptor you can add to the way that you talk about the people that you work with to help really pull in the right people. And then finally, another thing that you can do is just get really clear on your values as a person and as a coach, and share them. So again, these days, it's really helpful and important to be able to share like that part of who you are. Now, again, how you do that appropriately is going to be different for everyone. And, what you share is totally up to you. But I think when you share, like, this is a value of mine as a person, it helps people connect with you. And people who share your values, like, those are ultimately the clients that you want to be working with. You don't want to be working with clients where you do not share a similar kind of value set. So don't be afraid to share that in your messaging, in, you know, obviously all the ways that your messaging shows up. Don't be afraid to share those, because that can be really important as well. So there we have it. A few easy messaging hacks that you can think about. So like I said at the start, if you do want to really get your messaging right, and honestly it is going to be something that is becoming more important, please go and check out my Magical Messaging Intensive. It's only available for this week. That's the only time it's going to be available for sale. Do go and check it out. Like I say, it's a one-to-one offer. It's going to be amazing. We're going to like completely transform so much of your business from this one thing. So please go and check it out and join. There's only a limited number of spots because it is one-to-one. So please go and check that out, and I will be delighted to support you around your messaging. I really hope that's been helpful today and has given you some ideas. I'd love to know what you think of this episode of the show. As always, if you are watching on YouTube, please leave me a comment below. Let me know what you've enjoyed. And if you're listening on the podcast, I'd love for you to pop me a DM on Instagram. I'm at Wholeheartedly Laura. Please come and follow me over there. I'd love to know what you think. And yes, I'll be back next week with another key thing for you to think about and focus on that's going to help ready your business for 2026. Please come and check that out next week, and I will see you then. Take care, everyone. Bye.